Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the stuff that Seattle installed for the World Cup, it's already been damaged. Gee, who didn't see that coming? But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
The holy month of Pride is upon us, the holiest month in all the calendar. You may have thought it was Ramadan. You may think it's the holiday season around Christmas time. You may think it's Yom Kippur. No, my friends, it's Pride Month. I saw this morning, it's like my entire feed on social media threw up rainbows because every single account that's a business or a sports team or a politician or anything that I follow, it's Pride Month, Pride Month, Pride Month, Pride Month, everywhere. I don't see them do this for anything else, just for Pride Month. Now, the thing that's most fascinating to me is that some of these accounts are radical Islamists who hate everything about Pride. So can somebody explain to me the LGBTQ-Islamist Alliance? Because as we say here on the show all the time, if there was an LGBTQ population in Gaza, Hamas would throw them off the nearest roof. What are we doing here? Now, first, let me set the lines for Pride Month, because I think Pride Month is when I get my most amount of tips. I think that is when everybody sends me the insanity they're seeing at the schools, the insanity they're seeing from corporations, the stuff they're seeing on the streets. And I'm not saying don't send that to me, but let me give you the ground rules. Here's my ground rules. If taxpayer money is being spent on this stuff, if taxpayer resources are being spent on this stuff, I get pretty mad. That's where I get upset. So let's draw a distinction here, which we've discussed before. The Museum of Pop Culture, the MoPop here in Seattle, private museum, to the best of my knowledge, does not get government funds. If they want to run a drag camp for the summer, which they are doing, they have every right to do so. You have every right not to support them. You have every right to question parents who would sign their kids up for drag camp. But that's not something I'm going to get bent out of shape over because they're not using our resources to do it. If, for example, Bellingham High School is used for a full-on drag show for children of all ages, then I'm going to get upset. Oh, Ari, what's the big deal about drag? I think there's a little problem and a little misunderstanding why people are so bent out of shape. Because what there is when we were growing up, we had the movie The Birdcage. Gene Hackman's in drag. Nathan Lane's in drag. Isn't that funny? Isn't that entertaining? Isn't it funny? Robin Williams is gay. Isn't the whole thing funny? Funny movie. Great movie. That's not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is, when did that jump to become strippers? Drag strippers, cross-dressing strippers. Why is every pride parade filled with naked people and stuff you have to pay extra on TV to actually have the channel to watch? By that I mean HBO and Euphoria. But why? Why is that out in public? Why is there such a push to indoctrinate the children? Why do you feel you need to bring drag strippers into a school to express pride? Okay, let's do this a little bit differently. Here we go. I think here's what we should do from now on. I think we should have straight month. And what we will do is, for the schools, we will bring in however many strippers we can get from Showgirls in downtown Seattle and Deja Vu or whatever other these places are. We'll blast Pour Some Sugar on Me through the school loudspeakers in the gymnasium and bring in all the kids of the neighborhood to watch it. Oh, you have a problem with that, do you? So do I. Why is it okay when it's a guy dressed as a gal, but it's not okay when it's a gal who's a gal doing that? because either way, it's inappropriate. We shouldn't be doing it. So why the indoctrination? Why the indoctrination? So I know that this one time this person reached out to me and they were asking questions about Israel, and they had a whole bunch of questions. Turns out it was somebody who does drag. I thought this was somebody setting me up for something. I didn't know what it was. Turns out I met the person at an event later, and they said, look, I like doing this, but we don't do any of that other stuff. And I hear this from friends of mine who are gay. I hear this from people who are trans. And they say, this has jumped the shark. We believe in this, that, or we like to have fun doing this, that, but we don't believe in the stuff. You should not be doing this stuff in front of kids. You should not be indoctrinating the kids in school. What happened to the math? What happened to the science? What happened to the history? What happened to all of that? And then a lot of people in the community got mad when you started adding the T, Q, and all the other letters onto the LGB. They said that's an entirely different ideology because our ideology is we were born this way. That is, we need to alter how we were born. We need to change it. That's not us. Make your own flag. Make your own parade. Do something different. So what's the Islamist connection? Why is that attached to all of this, which is very, very odd? Zoran Mamdani, he's the mayor of New York City. Zoran Mamdani, you might know him. Communist, socialist, Islamist, you might be familiar with him. He boycotted the Salute to Israel parade yesterday. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Salute to Israel parade is, as I mentioned on Friday, every single weekend, every single Sunday, all spring and summer long, some kind of parade is happening in New York. Puerto Rican Day Parade, Irish Heritage, whatever it is. You name it, everybody's having a parade. In fact, I think the last 8 weekends have been parades in New York. That's how common they are. Do not drive into the city on a Sunday this time of year. Just don't do it. So Zoran Mamdani doesn't go. What's interesting is that Israel has a very big LGBTQ whatever population. They have the only pride parade in the Middle East. If you go to Tel Aviv, you think you're a little bit closer to home here in Seattle. There's a little bit more of that kind of stuff. And yet Zoran Mamdani says he's not going to that parade. Not going to go to that one. Okay. What does he do today? Immediately, it's the holy month of pride, and we need to talk about pride. All the far left radicals, whether they're Islamists, whether they're just hardcore communists, socialists, they're all talking about pride. Because they know that a lot of the people in this movement are allies, it's called, which just means radical activists who are, what's the cause du jour? What's the cause of the day? We will support that cause. And radical activists, useful idiots, are very, very easy to control. Every massive revolution that we have seen, be it what happened in Russia, be it what happened in Iran, anywhere, it's always the youths. It's always the youth pushing forward. A lot of college students. Well, who are the youth and who are the college students these days? The people on the college campuses are far left radicals. Who? What's the flavor of the day? That's what we're going to go protest for. So there's become this weird alliance where the Islamists will say, whatever you guys want for pride, even though the Islamists don't believe in any of this stuff at all. And then the useful idiots do whatever they can for the Islamists. What's an example of this? Over the weekend, Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson took a picture, put it up about how she was really, really happy to be attending the last day of Ramadan, Eid. So she's attending this big event, and she takes the picture where clearly she's standing on a stage in front of a podium, but her back is turned to the crowd to show how many people are behind her. She's at a mosque or a community center, and over there are hundreds of Islamic men preparing for the last day of Ramadan, which is a holy day for them. But if you look carefully, they're all laughing, not looking in her direction, giggling about it, because they know she is a useful idiot for their cause. They know this. Why do you think Katie Wilson, in one of her first interviews she did with Chris Daniels, right after she gets elected, he says, hey, there's all these allegations of fraud. You going to look into any of those? In the Somalian community, you going to look into any of this? Nope. Nope, real quick. That was it. Nope. Really, really quick. That answer came almost right away. Why? Because she knows that group will elect her. And that group knows that she will do whatever they want her to do because she is a useful idiot. They understand this. This is the alliance that's going on. Zoran Mamdani, he is no dummy. Even though some people call him Mom Dummy, he is not a dummy. He knows if he keeps the activists happy, they will keep him in power. They will keep showing up and protesting his enemies and make their lives a living hell. Now, Islamists are very, very good at this game. Look at what they've done on college campuses the past few years since October 7th. They have been able to weaponize the youth very, very effectively. But now they're also very effective at weaponizing the podcast first nation, the podcast right, the woke right, as you call it. Reports came out earlier today that the ceasefire might be ending between Iran and the United States. And the reports that were out there was that Iran had walked away from the negotiating table because Israel and Israel and Hezbollah are still skirmishing. Now, this has been going on for some time. I will tell you, Israel is still fighting with Hamas in Gaza. You don't hear anything about that these days. You really, really don't. It's on to the next thing. So, what's left of the IRGC, which is a terrorist organization that funds Hezbollah, is saying, well, we don't want to go to war and we don't want to have a ceasefire anymore because Israel's attacking Hezbollah. Well, wait a minute. You just admitted they are your ally. You just admitted you care as what happens to this terrorist organization. You just admitted that Israel is attacking them because they're a terrorist organization. What does that have to do with you in the U.S.? What does that have to do with you giving up your search, your quest for nuclear weapons? What does that have to do with the Strait of Hormuz? What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. It's their terrorist allies, and it's the only one that's still able to fight. It's the only one. So Iran wants them to be able to rebuild. But also, what's the narrative they're going with here by blaming Israel? They know the podcast First Nation will pick this up. And the podcast First Bros will immediately jump on this. You know that's what they're going to do. In fact, I called it right away. I said to my wife this morning, I said, watch. Some fool like Joe Kent is immediately going to say, see, we should just do what they want, cut our losses and get out of here. What do you know? What's the first tweet I saw? From Joe Kent. Another reason to just walk away. Does America benefit at all from playing referee between Israel and Lebanon? Prior to the war, Iran couldn't dictate terms in Lebanon, but their control of the Strait of Hormuz gives them the ability to do so. Cut our losses and just leave. Sorry, Joe, I don't mean to be insensitive here. Wasn't your wife killed by ISIS, a group funded by these wackadoodles? So now you just want to give up the fight? Now you just want to go away? Maybe you shouldn't have quit the administration, and you could have brought your opinion to the forefront, but your opinion is unpopular because it's wrong. So now you've got people like Joe Kent saying we should just cut our losses and leave. So predictable. The IRGC made that statement blaming Israel, knowing useful idiots like Joe Kent would post something like this, ignoring decades of the regime pretending to negotiate while simultaneously supporting terror, which killed Americans, including Joe Kent's wife. He replied to me when I posted that on his page this morning. He wrote, "We killed Qassam Soleimani and many other key IRGC leaders with precision strikes and can continue to do so without playing into Iran's hands by getting sucked further into this foolish war." He says there is zero gain by playing ref in Lebanon. I agree. Why should the U.S. have anything to do with Lebanon? Nothing whatsoever. But that means that the IRGC is still funding terror, which means whatever deal they make with the U.S. is complete BS, which means they're going to continue funding terror, which means they're going to continue developing nuclear weapons in order to give it to terrorists. Do you not understand how all this goes here? Do you not understand how you're being used? Let's not forget, your wife was killed by ISIS. Funded by who? Oh, right, Iran, along with 1,000 other Americans who were killed because of Iran. You're kidding me, right? He says, prior to the war, Iran couldn't dictate terms in Lebanon. Are you kidding me? They're the ones who told Hezbollah to attack Israel on October 8th. They're the ones who funded Hezbollah. It's amazing to me that people don't see this. It's really incredible. So what we're talking about here is useful idiots. Who can far radical Islamists use to their advantage? Be it people in the LGBTQ-IA community, be it the activists on college campuses, or be it people in the podcast first crowd like Joe Kent. That's what we're watching right here. That is what we are watching play out. We've discussed, I think, that America should go in and finish the job in Iran, all this negotiating. I don't think it's going to get you anywhere because you're still negotiating with a terrorist organization. And until they give up being a terrorist organization, nothing's going to change. You're dealing with a death cult who sees negotiating as a position of weakness. That's what they see it as. And me personally, this has been going on since March. We could have finished the job already. Gas prices could already be coming down. What are we waiting for? The ultimate deal, the longer this drags on for, the more Americans are going to be behind it. Now, this is a price I'm okay paying because I believe it's better than being incinerated in a fireball of a terrorist organization and continue letting terrorists do what they do and fund terror around the world, which has killed Americans. But a lot of Americans are starting to disagree with me, thinking my gas is too high, my groceries are too high, all this other stuff too expensive. And they're going to want some relief soon. So how much longer do you plan on this going on for? The Iranians have been negotiating in bad faith for decades. They're just waiting for the next Democrat like Barack Obama, and the next Democrat's going to be more radical than Barack Obama to come along and say, oh, Barack Obama gave you $1.5 billion? We're going to give you $3 billion. We're going to give you $6 billion. We're going to unfreeze all your assets. We're going to unsanction. Oh, wait. Joe Biden did exactly that. So what's the next one going to do? The radical Islamists have figured out how to weaponize useful idiots, be it on the far right, be it on the far left. And that is what you are watching happen on social media. That is what you are watching happen in our conversation. How is it Joe Kent agrees with the New York Times? How is it Joe Kent agrees with the Washington Post? How is it Joe Kent agrees with the LGBTQ-IA groups and the Washington Post and the New York Times and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker? Do you see how they're all sharing the same ideology because they all actually want the same thing? They don't want what's best for America. They want what's best for their cliques, or they want what's best for their ideology. Because if you want what's best for America, you know that a powerful Iran or a nuclear-armed Iran or an IRGC back in charge or an IRGC calling the shots is bad not just for the Middle East, but the entire world. Because that means we're going to have to go clean up this mess again. This is the kind of ideology that is anti-American, that is being pushed through this LGBTQIA stuff. Watch the stuff that's being given out in curriculums this week that your kids are bringing home. If your kids go to public school, ask them to see what is being taught this week. I guarantee you. With that LGBTQIA stuff, you are also seeing communism, socialism, radical Islamism. Guaranteed. You should ask your kids what they're being taught this week in school, because I guarantee you that is what you will find. And speaking of useful idiots, you can spend all the money you want making Seattle look good for the World Cup, but our homeless druggie population is just going to destroy it. Turns out a whole bunch of those new additions have already been damaged. We'll tell you what they are when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Gee, I'm so glad we're rolling out the carpet for Iran to send their soccer team. I'm sorry, do we call it football? To send their soccer team here to play Egypt on Pride weekend here in Seattle. I kid you not. You cannot make this stuff up. I was originally thinking when I heard it was going to be Iran versus Egypt, hey, I'm going to go down there wear an Israeli flag and just see what happens. Better yet, I'll just wear an American flag and see what happens if I go down there. Now, I'm just going to go down there and watch. So are you having the Pride Parade is it actually that day? All that's going on at the exact same time? Holy cow. Well, we've turned off the cameras. Nobody's going to go to jail at Seattle. And if they do go to jail, nobody's going to get prosecuted. And if they don't actually live in this country, there's going to be protesters showing up to make sure that ICE doesn't arrest them. It's going to be a lot of fun. Seattle's going to be a lot of fun. I guarantee it. Well, what about all these additions and improvements that we are doing for the World Cup? So who had on the under-over bet how long it was going to be until those multi-hundreds of $1,000 bathrooms got vandalized in Pioneer Square? Did anybody have today in the pool? I think it was one day. I think it was like 1 week. I think it was like 1 month. Yeah, they got vandalized today already. Somebody bashed out the windows of one of those things. And I said to myself, why do they have windows? That's my first question, right? If they're self-cleaning or anything else, why do they have windows on them? I have not actually seen them in person myself, but Seattle Submissions already posted the pictures of the smashed out windows. And somebody whose shall remain nameless in the media who I was talking to, when I said, hey, did you hear about this? They said, not just did we hear about this, did you hear about Westlake Center? And I said, what happened at Westlake Center? And they said, you know those new fiberglass things they installed? They're all covered up, and rumor has it they got shattered over the weekend underneath them. So they covered them up until they can repair the things because they don't want anybody getting pictures of the shattered stuff at Westlake Center. Good expenditure of money. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. This is fantastic. Love spending money on this kind of stuff. Yep, we're ready for the World Cup, my friends. We are ready to go on this. This is going to be exciting stuff. Now, meanwhile, Seattle can pretend that everything's okay, but it's just not. You look around at all the tall buildings, you realize a lot of them have massive vacancy rates. You're looking at over 35% office vacancy rate in downtown Seattle. And now one of Seattle's most recognizable office towers is going to be sold at a massive loss. According to Bloomberg, Blackstone is selling Seattle's 44-story U.S. Bank Center, you would know it if you saw it, to Spear Street Capital for approximately $280 million, a price roughly 54% the $612 million the investment giant paid for the property in 2019. The deal, which is not yet closed and remains contingent on financing, is the latest sign that major commercial real estate investors are increasingly willing to accept steep losses rather than continue holding on to struggling office properties. Because let's say you bought this sucker for $612 million. You're thinking to yourself, how much lower can this market go? What if we hit 40% office vacancy? What if we hit 50%? What if we hit 60%? That price tag ain't going to be $280 million. It's going to be $200 million, $150 million, and then there's something else. When you take out a loan on a building, a bank wants to see you're going to make money on it. A bank does not want to seize your property and then have to resell it for pennies on the dollar. They don't want to do that. So the bank is going to look at it and go, an office building with no tenants in it or with half the tenants it should have? Yeah, that's not an investment we want to finance. So all these people are going to be coming to Seattle looking around and go, look at these beautiful office buildings. Yeah, there's a big problem because a lot of them are empty. A huge amount of them are empty. And here's something else to think about. For all the lefties like Katie Wilson, who, what was it she said? It was something when she heard out the wealthy people were going to be leaving. Oh, right. I remember what it was.
Like, bye.
Right. Okay. So Katie Wilson wants all the wealthy people to leave. There is a fascinating article over on the Startup Law blog talking about how when wealth leaves, not just does their money leave, but their donations to nonprofits leave as well. Now, there are the hardcore types, like the George Soroses or everybody else. But most people who give donations want to give donations in the city they live in. So what happens is when a lot of people pick up and move, they say, we're not going to donate to these causes anymore. We're going to donate to the causes near us. You think Starbucks is still going to be hot on investing around here? You think Amazon's still going to be hot on investing around here? You think any of these companies that are getting out of here are still going to be hot on investing around here? No, they're going to start giving to Nashville. They're going to start giving to whatever other cities they end up in. So now you've got places that are struggling that are nonprofits. Are going to be struggling too. So now all of a sudden, all these Democrats who never had a job before in their lives in the private sector are now wondering, where did all the money go? That was going to my nonprofit. Over on the KVI text line, this one here from the 206, if the U.S. citizens of today had been alive during World War II, we'd be following Hitler if any would be left alive. Okay, so something to remember, by the way, during World War II, there were college protests at Columbia University against going to war with the Nazis. I will remind everybody of a story I told not that long ago. I was at Columbia University 2 weeks after 9/11, I think it was. I was up there visiting a friend 2 weeks after 9/11. There were people protesting against going to war with the Taliban and with Osama bin Laden 2 weeks after 9/11. In New York City, you could still see the smoke coming out of lower Manhattan. You could still smell it in the air. There were still papers flying through the air from law firms and banking companies that had been the World Trade Center. But they're protesting against this. Mike Kerb says, look at history. The only thing Islamists understand is raw power. Exactly right. See, our audience is smart. Our audience is not useful idiots. Our audience totally gets it. You know who may not get it or may be coming around finally? The Democrats, my friends. They backed the guy with the Nazi tattoo, who apparently has some interesting marital issues, likes sexting some interesting people as well, and has a profile on a predator site for Senator of Maine. And now they're wondering why he's not doing so well. We'll give you all the insane details on Graham Plattner when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Oh, the Democrats sure can pick him, can't they? We all said there was a problem with picking Graham Plattner to be the Senate candidate for the Democrats in Maine when we found out he had a Totenkopf, otherwise known as a Nazi tattoo. Then what other controversies did we find out about this guy? Okay, he's a socialist. Fine, the left loves that he's a socialist. But then he is criticizing members of the military who died. He is demeaning members of the military who got Purple Hearts. And now apparently he's cheating on his wife? That's no big deal. We had Bill Clinton, right? No big deal at all. Oh, apparently he's sexting other women. And apparently he's got a profile on a platform that's called the Predator's Paradise. Now, it's not actually called that. It's called Kick or something, but that's what they call it because apparently you could be there and be like a young little teenager and you can send this kind of stuff to kids and holy cow, this is what we're finding out about this guy. But I'm just an oyster farmer. I'm an oyster farmer and we need socialism in this country because oysters need socialism. And even though I'm a socialist who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, I'm just an oyster farmer. Give me a break with this nonsense. This is the best the Democrats can come up with, but hang on, it gets better. Who is he running against? Who is the evil Republican that the Democrats said, well, even the Nazi-supporting, socialist, communist-loving, military-demeaning, minor sexting guy is better than Susan Collins? Susan Collins, the one who voted to impeach Trump, the one who voted against so many Republican policies that Republicans don't even like her, but they go, you know what, she votes with us like 50% of the time, so we might as well take what we can get. Susan Collins is the one they are this desperate to get rid of that they backed the Nazi guy, that guy. Bravo, everybody. This weekend, this went live on Saturday or something? And my wife says to me Saturday night, she goes, did you see the video from his wife? And I said, no. And she said, it is one of the saddest things I have ever seen. I watched it, and in that moment, I decided not to play it for you on the show. And I'll tell you why. Graham Plattner's wife is clearly...
Feel free to look it up for yourself.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely do that, but not during the show. Do it afterwards. Graham Plattner's wife is clearly emotionally distraught in this. She talks about her therapist. She talks about his therapist. She talks about their joint therapist, their marriage therapist, and this therapist. And it's not like they've been married for 20 years and you hit a rough patch or something. They've been married since 2023. And we're talking about this. Now, apparently what happened was Graham Plattner's wife was asked, hey, for opposition research, that's what you do before a campaign. Is there anything I need to know about him? Is there anything at all we need to know about him? She goes, well, there was this whole sexting other women thing on this Creeper app. It's all right there. And then the person who was the campaign manager quit the campaign, told the Wall Street Journal about it, and now Graham Plattner's wife feels betrayed, which I understand that, but there's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome going on here, or there's a little bit of battered spouse syndrome going on here. I mean, this is sad. This is super, super sad. In fact, you want to know how bad it is? You're hearing some Democrats like Cory Booker are starting to term on the oyster farmer, the socialist Nazi oyster farmer, Graham Plattner, starting to turn on him, right? But when you've lost the view, that's when you got to wonder how badly you screwed up. When even Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the lunatics over at The View, the televised mental asylum on ABC, when you've lost them, how far have you strayed? Literally. Give a listen.
This is a character flaw. This isn't, Plattner has said, he did it in form. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I've changed. This is a problem. The Purple Heart recipient, by the way, the video he insulted, was a man who took fire to save his team. And he said, this stupid guy should have died. It's only because they didn't have good aim that he's here. If you were capable of saying that at any time in your life, you've shown me who you are, and I heard you. This man should be nowhere near Congress. We've already got a wealth of people we need out. We're not sending one like this in.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot about the bathrooms. I forgot about the porta potties. Sorry, it's just too graphic how he posts on, what was it? Reddit was when he was insulting the members of the military. I forget where he was writing about pleasuring himself in porta potties. Oh yeah, that's there too. Add this to this guy's mess, his absolute mess. The ladies of The View weren't done with him yet.
These are character flaws that I'm tired of hearing about.
Yeah, me too.
I'm tired of it. I'm just like, just keep it in your pants. Just stop being stupid.
Oh,
you know?
I need to add that he said that he sent the racist things because he was suffering from PTSD from his tour in Afghanistan.
Right.
I know a lot of soldiers that have PTSD that aren't racist.
Yeah.
Well, I love that the music starts playing them off. You're being too mean to Graham Platter. We got to play it off. We've lost the plot. We've lost the view. Quick, start playing the music. I forgot about the racist comments. Oh, I'm sorry. So wait a second. How many things is that on the list here? So insulting members of the military, the Nazi tattoo, the tattoo of the SS, the Totenkopf, like the really, really bad one. Then the cheating on your wife, the sexting, the Predator app, the racist comments, the pleasuring yourself in the porta potties. This is who the Democrats are running. You know, it's crazy how many people are actually going to vote for this guy because of that lunatic anti-Semitic lady who talked about putting all the Jews in concentration camps and castrating them can get 40% of the vote. What do you think Graham Plattner is going to get from the people with true TDS who are going to go, well, Susan Collins has an R next to her name, even though she votes against Trump half the time. So we have to vote for Graham Plattner to fight Trump. It's New England. It's New England. People are going to vote for the oyster farmer. They're going to vote for him. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Unbelievable. This is who they are running. Now, the question is the money going to disappear? Is the money going to dry up, or is there still enough anti-Trump hate out there to continue pushing forward with this? Crazy. Absolutely crazy that this is the nominee for the Democrats running in Maine. If this is the best you got, I'm not that worried about the midterms, guys. I'm really, really not. I feel bad for his wife. I feel really, really bad for his wife. Trying to make this relationship work. Oh, man, this is bad. This is super, super bad. Up next, my friends, lots more to talk about. Speaking of bad, Bellingham High School hosts a drag event for all ages. This is what the public schools are doing. What are your kids up to? We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. unlike the public school system, I don't want to expose your children to all the insanity of Pride Month. So if you have kids in the car right now, hand them a phone, hand them a tablet, or give them some headphones to earmuff it or something like that, because the Pride stuff's gonna get a little graphic, just a little bit. So one of our wonderful listeners sent me a video over the weekend of a drag show at Bellingham High School. Now, this was part of the Whatcom Youth Pride Coalition's Weekends of event, which included a parade and a festival and then this thing at the high school. Now, using my formula, this is going to be my formula for Pride Month, guys, okay? Here's how we avoid the really crazy and we stick with the stuff that keeps us on message. I do not think that our tax money should be used towards any of this insanity. Well, this was held at a public school. Bellingham High School is a public school. Now, if Bellingham High School rented it out and said, you know what, we rent to anybody. So if you want to come have a prayer event to cleanse the auditorium of what I just saw in this video that will never leave my mind. If you want that, you can come have it, then that's fine. Everybody has all access. But I think we should have a little fun with our friends up in Bellingham. I think just for out of curiosity, I think I should ask if we could do a Let's Go Washington signing event against the income tax up there, right? And see if they'll let us rent the space for that. And then they're going to say, oh, no, that's political. I'm going to say, this isn't? Sure it is. Absolutely it is. So let's do that. Or how about a prayer event? Let's do that. And they're going to say, no, that's religious. So I'm going to say, this seems to be some people's religion right here. There are kids of all ages at this thing. Now, first of all, I want to know which parents said to the kids, yeah, go to the drag show with the drag strippers in the public school. Who said that? Why is that okay? What standards are there for Bellingham High School? I think the district is going to be hearing from me after the show today because I have a bunch of questions about this video that I really never want to watch again. I did not need this added to my life. I really, really did not. Other weird things that are going on around here today. So over the weekend, Democratic lawmakers were calling for mandatory extra sick days for women when they're having women's stuff going on, saying it is economic violence when women aren't provided accommodations for their women's stuff. Okay, I'm not going to get more graphic than that because it makes me feel squishy. Turd Ferguson comes out with this announcement today. Today I signed an executive order to support women in the workplace who experience perimenopause and menopause symptoms. This will ensure my cabinet agencies have appropriate measures in place to support state employees experiencing menopause symptoms. As governor, my administration will be a place where workers can serve the people of Washington and know they'll be supported. We share this expertise and guidance with employers all across our state. We believe this is one of the most comprehensive single pieces of policy put forward to date, combining worker protections with increasing health profession education on perimenopause and menopause. Question. Yes, Ari Hoffman, right there in the back. Question. Okay. Does this apply to dudes who think they're girls too? I mean, does this apply to phantom pain by dudes who think they're girls? Does it apply to them? I'm very, very curious. Who does this actually apply to? Because under this logic, I mean, I've never had a period, so I guess I'm probably going through menopause right now, right? I'm sorry to make light of a situation, but you can make that argument. Who does this actually apply to? From the guy who can't define what a woman is, from the guy who thinks that men should be playing against women in sports. This guy is going to talk about stuff for women. Give me a break. For the guy who thinks that fully intact men should be in women's prisons, in women's cells with them. You're going to talk about rights of women. You're going to talk about protecting women. You're going to talk about women's health. Give me a break. Harmeet Dillon's going to be on the show later today around 5:30 p.m. today. We're going to have Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General of the United States, talking about the DOJ's case against Washington State, against Bob Ferguson, against Nick Brown, against all of them for putting female prisoners in cells with fully intact men. This guy, this is who we're talking about? Crazy. Absolutely insane. This is the stuff we're focusing on here in Washington from a guy who can't define what a woman is. This is Bob Ferguson. This is what he's virtue signaling about. Just watch. It's going to get worse all month long. Guarantee it, especially for that World Cup game. I am super, super excited for that World Cup game between Iran and Egypt on Pride weekend. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. What are your predictions for this? I know what it's going to be. It's going to be Mr. T's prediction, right? Pain. That's going to be the prediction. It's going to be bad. It's going to be super, super bad. I hope everything's fine, but I am very, 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 very concerned. Really very concerned. This one here from the 360 on the KVI text line. I'd be willing to bet my year's salary that this drag queen event at Bellingham High School was initiated by Western Washington University. Okay, I don't know that for sure, 360. I would have to investigate that. Right now, it doesn't look like it actually was. It looks like it was initiated by this Whatcom Youth Pride group. It looks like that's where it's coming from, but we'll check it out. We'll see who's actually behind this thing. We're going to start doing our research tonight to find out more and more about this stuff. Meanwhile, speaking of the World Cup, this is pretty funny to me. The San Francisco Chronicle, this is great. This is what they put out. The otherwise righteous concern for human rights in Qatar is tainted by Islamophobic coloring of European news coverage. Is Western rage genuinely inspired by Qatar's human rights record or Western bias against Qatar's Arab or Muslim identity? What are we talking about here? The last World Cup was hosted in Qatar, a country with minimum 7-year prison sentence with the option of the death penalty for all these kind of things. And the San Francisco Chronicle is claiming it was Western bias? Are you Western bias? But that's Qatar. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Another child is dead because of Democrat policies. It just keeps getting worse. Will the Democrats ever relinquish this insane, insane policy? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the child of a local Democrat hopeful is going to federal jail for attacking ICE. You really want to vote that guy into office? But before we get to any of that, we go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Susan in Enumclaw. Susan, what's going on?
First, good afternoon, Ari, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate you more than you know. I'm calling today because it's day one, as we know, of Pride Month. I find it very, very interesting that the people who are part of Pride, they have a whole month to celebrate. And yet our veterans who have fought hard for the United States in many more wars than just one, our founding, they have one day to celebrate.
Well, here's a better question for you, Susan. I appreciate all your kind words, by the way. Here's the question you should be asking. There was a flag raising for the Pride flag at Seattle City Hall today, as well as many other city halls around our great state. Did any of them do a flag lowering for Memorial Day? Did any of them do something special for Veterans Day? Did any of them do anything special for Flag Day? Did any of them do anything special for any federal holiday? But here's another one for you, Susan, and this is going to upset me even more, okay? Which is, there are so many months that we have. We didn't do anything for any of them. Are they going to do something special for July 4th this year for the 250th birthday? No. So the question is, why does this one particular month get more importance than even the country that allows the people here who identifies that way to have the freedom to identify however they want, whereas many countries in the world will kill them for identifying that way?
Exactly. That's what I was alluding to and how I meant it. And it's sickening to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. Tomorrow, Seattle Public Schools is having their flag-raising ceremony. Actually, I was talking to Jonathan Cho from the Discovery Institute a little bit before I went on air today. He says he's got some pretty entertaining video because he was able to confront the mayor about a few things at the flag-raising ceremony. So hopefully we'll have that awesome audio for you tomorrow. Susan, appreciate the call. Totally hear where you're coming from.
You.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. It seems like every month we are hearing another story of a dead kid because of the Keeping Families Together Act. We have discussed this so many times, and it happened again. In fact, when I saw Representative Travis Couture posting about it, I had to make sure it wasn't a case we already covered. It happens so often. Authorities are now investigating the death of Aiden Bevins, whose body was discovered on a relative's property in Aberdeen earlier this month. Police have not announced any arrests or released a cause of death, and autopsy results remain pending. The case has shaken Grays Harbor County and drawn statewide attention after relatives reportedly requested a welfare check when they had not seen Aiden for an extended period. Investigators later located the child's body buried on the property. Former foster parents Gary and Magali Lopez, who cared for Aiden from age 1 to age 3, told King 5 they opposed the decision to reunify him with his biological family and feared for his safety after he left home. They said, "This is something that we have been dreading, a fear of ours ever since he left." Now, here's what happened. The child was taken away from the parents because they weren't capable of watching this child because they had drug issues. And what happens? They gave the child back because of the Keeping Families Together Act. So child was in a loving home. Yes, they were foster parents, but instead they took the child away from the foster parents to give it to the drug addicts. Now, Travis Couture said Aiden's death illustrates what critics have warned about for years regarding Washington's child welfare system. Quote, little Aiden Bevins would still be alive today if not for the Democrats' Keeping Families Together Act. He accused Democrat leadership and the Department of Children, Youth, and Families of repeatedly ignoring warnings from foster parents, judges, prosecutors, law enforcement officials, and child welfare advocates who sought changes to the law. Quote, anybody who continues to support this law has blood on their hands. No more excuses. We fixed this absolute travesty in January, come hell or high water. Now, remember, we had Representative Couture on the show before the session. He thought he had the votes this time. But yet the Democrats keep voting for dead children. In fact, they celebrate people who allow it. Tana Sen is the director, the secretary of the Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services. She has been MIA since she got this job. I mean, I'm surprised there's not pictures of her on the back of milk cartons. It's like, where's Waldo with Tana Sen? Nobody knows where she is. Well, we had proof of life the other day. You want to be really, really mad? So Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services, these guys have had billions of dollars in unaccountable funding, dead children, abuse in some of these facilities of theirs, problems with other facilities of theirs with juvenile offenders, you name it. Bob Ferguson gave her an award. Turd Ferguson gave her an award for exemplary service. Are you kidding me with this? You kidding me with this? He rewarded Tana Sen, whose tenure in office has been marked by failure after fraud, after failure, after death, after failure, after fraud. Did I mention death? That's who they gave an award to, because protect your own, right? Protect your own? Yeah, absolutely infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. The Keeping Families Together Act, passed in 2021 and implemented beginning in 2023, raised the legal standard for removing children from potentially dangerous homes. Now, the way they did this was by saying, oh, if you're a drug addict, we don't have to take the kid away. So if a baby is born addicted to drugs, don't have to take the kid away. If a home has drug use in it, don't have to take the kid away. Even though drugs like fentanyl, you could die from contact. Yes, because I'm sure the very responsible drug addict parent will lock up their drugs after they inject themselves with heroin so that the kid can't get to it, right? I think about when I was raising my kids. You know how many times I forgot to close the baby gate? Could have cost a child's life right there. Caught the kid right before the edge. Story about my niece, by the way. My niece, they have my brother and sister-in-law had this deck that had stairs that went down to the backyard. And somehow one time the gate that was on it got open, and they turned around and they hear a thunk, 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 and they knew she had been riding her bike. And what happened was they expected something horrible. The dog had caught her skirt, and the dog was holding her skirt on the edge of the edge of the deck, which was incredible, absolutely incredible. Parents make mistakes. Parents have things, they make mistakes. Things happen. Okay, now think about a parent who can't take care of themselves, who's not in the right state of mind. How many times have there been kids found in these homeless encampments? You shouldn't have the kid. If you can't take care of yourself, you shouldn't have the kid in the homeless encampment. And here it is. You've got the kids here in the homes of the drug addicts with the drugs laying around. Look, I don't know much about drugs. I've never done drugs before in my life. I've never even smoked marijuana. I know I'm a real square like that. That's not my jam at all. But I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between some of these things and candy, especially if you're a kid. Would not be able to tell the difference. So you think it's safe to leave these kids in the home? It's been case after case after case. Now, Child Protective Service workers, law enforcement requiring proof of imminent physical harm before intervention can occur in many cases. For multiple legislative sessions, Couture has pushed the legislation to change that standard from imminent to serious. That's it. Changing one word. And the Democrats refuse to do it. Now, according to figures presented to oversight boards and legislatures, 92 child fatalities or near fatalities were recorded during the first 6 months of 2025 alone. Many of these families were already known to Washington's child welfare system. So they knew this could be a problem, and instead they kept it going. They kept this law in place. Now, he says the fact that there's still pushback to fix this law by most Democrats is beyond the pale, he wrote. Easily, the most shameful and morally corrupt act of the 2026 legislative session was to block my endless attempts to save kids and fix it. Opponents of the Keeping Families Together Act argue that Aiden's death is part of a broader pattern of preventable tragedies. In a case of 2024, a newborn in Port Townsend was born with fentanyl in the system. Despite those concerns, the child was ultimately placed with his father after passing initial drug tests. Sorensen, who's the father, Jordan Sorensen, later stopped complying with court-ordered drug screening, disappeared with the infant. Authorities eventually located him, but not the child. The baby was found later dead, his body discarded in the bushes. Jefferson County Prosecutor James Kennedy sharply criticized the legal framework governing child welfare decisions. He said this was a foreseeable result. According to the law, substance abuse or housing issues do not constitute imminent physical risk to the child. That has been proven tragically wrong. Another case is 4-year-old Ariel Garcia, who was allegedly stabbed to death by his mother, Janet Garcia, in 2024. And just days before the killing, Ariel's grandmother had sought custody, warning authorities that Garcia's behavior had become increasingly erratic and dangerous due to substance abuse. Court documents indicated Garcia had previously taken the child to bars, abandoned him with other children, and exhibited escalating violent behavior. Despite those warnings, Ariel remained in his mother's custody until his mutilated body was discovered near I-5. And what's crazy about this, the grandmother tried to save the baby and said, "Give me custody of the child. I will take care of the child." Tried to take care of this baby. State said no. Another dead kid. Oakley Carlson, Grays Harbor County girl who vanished after being returned to her biological parents despite prior state involvement. Her body has still never been found, but she's gone. She's now gone. We don't know where she is. These are just a few cases that I recall happening while we've been on air. How many more are out there? We don't know. We have not covered 92 cases of this in 2025. Did we cover a lot? Sure. But we didn't cover 92 cases, which means, let's say we probably covered, 5, 6 of these? There's probably a whole bunch more out there where we don't even know the kids' names. And yet the Democrats are content to keep the Keeping Families Together Act, which what it does, it's not keeping families together. It's keeping drug addicts together with vulnerable children. That's what it is. Keeping drug addicts with vulnerable children, keeping children at risk. That's what we're dealing with here. And the Democrats refuse to do anything about it. I mean, look, the Democrats are the party of crime. The Democrats are the party of emboldening bad behavior. How do I know this? Well, we got another case with a Mexican illegal alien drug dealer who was allowed to be in this country as a key enforcer for a Yakima-based drug trafficking organization who was responsible, connected to the murders of a husband, his pregnant wife, and their unborn child, has now been sentenced to 20 years in the federal prison. I think we'd all agree that'd be better that the husband, the wife, and the baby were still alive than this guy be in federal prison. But he killed him because of sanctuary policies. Ricardo Ricky Orizaba Zendayas, 23, of Yakima, received the sentence in federal court after being convicted on drug trafficking and firearms charges tied to a criminal organization that transported narcotics from Mexico through Southern California into Washington state. This is after his co-defendant, Benjamin Tony Madrigal Beretta, another Mexican national who'd been living in Yakima illegally, pleaded guilty to murdering Cesar Morello and his pregnant wife, Maria Hernandez, in 2022. Hernandez's unborn child was also killed. Prosecutors said the killings were connected to the organization's drug trafficking activities and occurred after the victims expressed a desire to leave the operation and cooperate with federal investigators. None of this would have happened if we had denied illegal aliens entry into this country. During the first trial, prosecutors presented evidence showing he acted as a trusted lieutenant, drug dealer, and enforcer within the organization. According to court testimony, he trafficked in fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, transported drug proceeds, collected debts, arranged gun-for-drug transactions, and helped protect the organization's leadership and narcotics shipments. Federal prosecutors also argued that despite the murders of Morello and Hernandez, the organization continued operating, with Orizaya Zendayas remaining largely involved alongside Madrigal Beretta in ongoing trafficking operations and threats of violence. During a February 2023 search of his home, They seized more than 11,000 fentanyl pills, nearly a kilogram of fentanyl powder, more than 1.6 kilograms of heroin, a loaded AR-15, body armor, scales, cash packaging material, and money counter. A Yakima narcotics detective also testified that the fentanyl seizure ranked as the third largest in Yakima area at the time. This is who we let into the country. So they could possibly kill 11,000 people with that much fentanyl. Never mind the amount they hadn't made yet. How many times do we have cases like this? Case after case after case. So you're protecting the drug users. You're protecting the drug dealers, which means now you're protecting the drug trade here in Washington. At what point do we say Democrats want people to die? They fund harm reduction, which isn't actually harm reduction. What is it? It's giving drugs and supplies to do drugs to addicts. It's allowing addicts who cannot take care of themselves to take care of people. They shouldn't be allowed to take care of a dog. They shouldn't be allowed to take care of a cat. They shouldn't be able to take care of a pet rat. They're not responsible enough to take care of themselves, and you want to put them in charge of the life of another creature? Are you kidding me? At what point do we say this is intentional? You wonder why people are leaving the area. Because they don't want to live in a city where they walk down the streets and they see open-air drug use. We had Kent Liu, the new president of Seattle Police Officers Guild, on the show last Friday. If you missed that interview, you can get it over at kvi.com. We had him on the show last Friday. And he was talking about how people who are coming here for the World Cup, he doesn't think we're ready for the World Cup because of all the open-air drug use. And as evidenced by the story we did earlier today, the fact that somebody already bashed the sculptures in Westlake Center that were put up for the World Cup. The fact that somebody already vandalized the bathrooms we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on in Pioneer Square. We knew it was only a matter of time. This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. And this is why people are getting out of here in record numbers, by the way. In fact, now that we have the numbers, they're worse than we even knew they were before. Getting so much worse. But that's not the worst thing. When we say the Democrats are the party of crime, it's more true than you even know because, my friends, up next, we have a story for you of a Democrat hopeful who's running for office whose son was just sentenced to federal prison for assaulting ICE agents out in Spokane, Washington. This isn't a bug. It's a feature, my friends. The Democrats are the party of crime. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. We have a special contest for you today, my friends. We are giving away two tickets to Colin Cloud Mastermind at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. For over 20 years, Colin Cloud has been entertaining and astounding audiences on the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pets' names, even your PIN code. Described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes, he enjoyed sold-out runs in London's West End, Broadway, and the Las Vegas Strip, where he is now a headliner with his own show, Colin Cloud Mastermind, at Harrah's Hotel and Casino. Now, if you want to get these tickets, you head on over to snowtickets.com, S-N-O tickets.com. But if you want to win them, we are giving away two right now. Now, here's what you have to do. You have to enter the keyword, text the keyword, to the number I give you. Not your phone number, not your name, not your address. If you are the winner, we will find you. So, today's word, because it is Colin Cloud Mastermind, today's word is magic. As in, you get to see his amazing feats that are just like magic. As in, do you believe in magic? M-A-G-I-C. Text the word magic to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from John in Redmond. John, what's going on?
Ari, good voice of Seattle. It is time for the people of Seattle to recognize that when wealthy people leave, their taxes will go up. It's a simple thing. Less in from the big boys, more from your own pocket.
Yes, exactly right, which is why signature gatherers and people from Let's Go Washington have been telling me that people just keep on coming. They keep on showing up, and they keep on signing those initiatives to repeal the income tax. So let me ask you, John, have you gotten yours in the mail yet?
I have been out of town for almost 3 weeks, but we are getting the ballot.
Excellent.
No matter what.
Excellent. So just make sure, I'm going to take this opportunity to do a shameless plug. You go on over to letsgowashington.com. That's letsgowashington.com or letsgowa.com, and you get your signature sheets. They will come right to your house, and you can send them right on back. Right, John?
Great program.
Thanks so much, John.
Absolutely
appreciate the call.
Efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. By the way, I got the strangest email today asking me for comment on something I didn't even know what they were talking about. And I'm kind of wondering, are they teeing up the next hit piece on Let's Go Washington? Or is this some reporter I've never heard of before just going, oh, well, if I pick on Ari Hoffman, I'll get some clicks because they'll share the article. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Meanwhile, 3 anti-ICE activists have been convicted by a federal jury for their roles in a riot outside the ICE detention facility in Spokane, Washington. The prosecutors say prevented federal officers from carrying out immigration enforcement operations for more than 9 hours. One of those convicted is the son of a Democrat running for Congress in Washington's 5th Congressional District. And it turns out he's proud of him. Jack Archer, Justice for All, I kid you not, that is their name. Something tells me that's not their given name. Something tells me that's their identifying name. And Bejun Mavawala were found guilty on May 28th of conspiring to impede federal law enforcement officers or damage property used in the execution of their duties. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Washington, that's our friend Pete Serrano. Following the verdict, congressional candidate Bajun Mavawala Sr. released a statement thanking those involved in the trial and expressed support for his son, defending the second, as today's verdict marks the conclusion of a serious and important legal process. Oh, you bet. You bet. I want to thank the jury, the attorneys for the defense, and all others who have participated in the proceedings with professionalism and integrity. Thank you especially to supporters that have shown up throughout his trial. Truly, your presence has kept up my spirits as well as those of many others. He concluded, lastly, I want to make a statement about my son. Having served with you as a member of the United States Army in Afghanistan, I was already well aware of your bravery and your unwavering commitment to the beliefs and principles for which you stand. Wait a second. So this guy was in the military and then decided to attack an ICE agent? Something tells me there's a misfire there or something, or somebody didn't really understand what that meant, brothers in arms at the time. Says, this trial has proven to me more than anything how deep your commitments go and the extent of your bravery, which can only be matched by the profound pride I have in you as a father. So you're proud of the kid who went and attacked ICE agents. There's video of it, by the way. This is not a gray area. There is video of it. You remember that June 2025 riot outside the Spokane ICE facility where protesters blocked federal vehicles, obstructed facility exits, allegedly damaged government property in an effort to stop the transfer of detainees to a detention center and immigration court near Tacoma. Federal prosecutors said officers were unable to carry out the transport operation for more than 9 hours as the crowd impeded law enforcement activity. That's a no-no, guys. Weren't there also some actual Democrats involved in that protest? Yes. The verdict followed an 8-day trial and more than a day of deliberations by a jury from across eastern Washington. They haven't done sentencing yet. The 3 defendants were among 9 individuals charged by a federal grand jury in connection with the blockade. 6 of the defendants pleaded guilty before trial, leaving Archer, Justice for All, and Mavalwala to have their cases decided by a jury. I don't think out in eastern Washington this is going to play well with the voters for this Democrat feller. I don't believe they will. And in fact, I think this is the way you actually stop these crazy protests. I think what you do is you start giving them big boy time, which is why police arrested at least 20 of these radicals at the Newark, New Jersey Delaney Hall ICE facility on Sunday night after yet another night of riots. If you haven't been following this, there have been riots for over a week now at this ICE facility in New Jersey. And here's something else. Markwayne Mullen said this about the protesters.
Individuals that came in from Portland, not from New Jersey, came from Portland to lead. We've seen that they've been well supplied. We've seen Antifa flags being flown. And once the state police came out, and which, by the way, awesome group of guys, they understand crowd control very well. And they started pushing the individuals back after they warned them, started making arrests. You saw that the situation quickly got under control. And for us, when we first started calling, they were simply saying they didn't have the resources. And it's interesting to me that they finally found the resources and started clearing their streets.
As soon as the feds come in, right. But did you hear the opening of what he said? They're from Portland. They flew from Portland to New Jersey. Let me tell you something. Nobody wants to go to New Jersey. You don't want to go to New Jersey. Maybe I shouldn't underestimate the drawing power of the Garden State. Who knows? But nobody wants to go to New Jersey. It smells terrible. It smells awful. It's a horrible place, New Jersey.
Coming from Portland, a place that most people don't want to go to, going to New Jersey, where most people don't want to go to.
It's not nicer in New Jersey. I promise you that. Maybe less Antifa. Maybe a smidgen less Antifa. But what? Nothing's happening at the Portland ICE facility? So the protest crowd got to go head on over to New Jersey? It's the same radical activists.
They got to spread the love a little bit.
I see. Export it. Yes, these are Portland's exports. Used to be Nikes. Now we're exporting Antifa. Isn't that great?
This will be the new governor's bets when there's like a sports team is playing each other. Hey, if you lose, we're going to ship all the Antifa over to you, or however that goes, right?
Yeah, we'll do that. No. Here's
we'll
the
give
new
you
bet.
apples if you win.
The new bet. How many of our Antifa people who are protesting in your city get arrested by the feds? It'll be an under-over kind of deal.
Right.
Katie Wilson will still find a way to lose. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, Representative Jim Walsh joins us because did Ferguson just challenge him to run for governor? Hang on. It was a crazy weekend. We'll fill you in on what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. 12th Man for Life just texted the show. And he said he's been collecting signatures all weekend. He's been getting hundreds of signatures. He's been doing this on his own against the income tax. And he said 10 people asked him, where is the initiative to get Bob Ferguson out of office? Joining us now to discuss Bob Ferguson being a little scared about who might run against him on the KVI studio line, Chairman of the Washington State GOP, Representative Jim Walsh. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's good to talk to you, Ari. Yeah, it's been a very interesting couple of days this weekend. The current governor is, I think he's sweating. He's starting to realize that he's not very good at this job and that a bunch of the bills he signed into law, the people really don't like.
Yeah.
And he's trying to create some drama, I think, to divert attention away from all his screw-ups.
So let's back up a second and fill in the audience who may not be on social media this weekend. You do an interview, you get asked the question, which basically everybody's going to be asking you and every other Republican from now for the next 3 years is, given how unpopular Bob Ferguson is, have you considered running for governor? You say, of course, I'm looking at running for governor. Bob Ferguson sees this interview, sees an article written about this interview, and then says, like, he's excited for you to run against him? Is that really what's going on here? Is this how we're doing this now?
Yeah, he or one of his minions, and it'll be a good question whether it was a taxpayer-paid minion, put on social media, I dare you to run against me. You don't have the guts. And it was really kind of silly because I didn't say I was running against him. I said, of course, I'm looking at it, but I really am focused on building the party out and building the ground game and building the infrastructure that we need to win statewide. I'm more into the nuts and bolts of it, but it was really kind of shocking. And so I just told him, it's years off, Mr. Governor. But if you want to rumble, let's do a series of Lincoln Douglas debates.
Yeah.
One topic, one point in the law or policy each debate, once a month for an hour, no warning. We'll take whatever the topic is that the moderator chooses with no advance notice, and we'll rotate. We'll let different talk show hosts and journalists be the moderators every month for the next couple of years. Let's take it month to month. And the governor or his minions got very silent after that.
Yeah, of course they did, because they don't actually want to be challenged on anything. I wonder if they're doing this as a stunt, though, by the way, because we're talking about 3 years down the road. And I wonder, in the past, Democrats have sometimes said, don't vote for this person, wanting people to vote for this person, or do vote for this person, wanting people to vote against them. Do you think this is some kind of reverse psychology thing that Bob Ferguson is doing? Because he does want to run against you. What do you think is actually going on here? Or you think he just wants the clicks?
Well, I think he's trying to, do some reverse psychology, but he tripped all over himself, and he didn't really effectively do the reverse psychology. I'm not going to file to run against the guy. I'm a state legislator. That's my job. I'm going to continue doing that. But his minions are all saying now, well, Walsh has to file now. Well, wait a minute, guys. I never said I was filing for anything. You're making this all up. You're trying to create drama because your guy is underwater. Every poll in this state is showing that Ferguson's way underwater. His popularity, his disapprove ratings are horrible, like 2-1 against at best, and maybe as bad as 4-1 against. That's an 80-20 approval-disapproval rating, or disapproval-approval rating. I mean, he's way underwater, and he's not good at public events. He goes to a public event, he tries to make some clear statement or strong comment, and he bollockses it all up. So he's in trouble, and they're just trying to find the biggest target to try to poke the bear. And we're not going to take it, Ari. If he wants to get some clicks, if he wants to get some publicity, debate me. I'll debate him once a month, one topic a month, in detail, no prep, no scripts, no staff. Just a moderator and the two of us. And we'll will debate issues like crime, like the failing K-12 schools, like the state income tax. Come on, Mr. Governor, you wanna mix it up? Let's do old-fashioned Lincoln Douglas style debates. No scripts, no talking points, just you and me.
Yeah, my guess is we know what he's going to say to that. And the reason is because, look, the Republicans send out press releases all the time. The GOP sends out press releases all the time. And typically when I get a press release, I write back, hey, would love to have you on the show. And I say, okay, make your case. And I ask a couple questions against it because usually I agree with it. When the Democrats do that, I do the exact same thing. 9 times out of 10, the Democrats refuse to come on the show. 10 times out of 10, I don't get a response from the governor's office. Since he has been sworn into office, I don't get any response from him whatsoever. And also, we know that the local media, even the lamestream media around here, is criticizing how unavailable he is, how you don't even find out he had a press event until after it's over because he doesn't want to get those questions. He is one of the least accessible politicians in Washington state history, if not U.S. history. And who's he beating up on all the time? President Trump, who's probably one of the most accessible. You, who's probably one of the most accessible. I saw you at an event last Thursday night. I think I'm seeing you at another event this week. I see you all the time. And yet, the governor, he's hiding from public scrutiny, probably, just like you said, because of his record. And here's something else, Representative Walsh, is that I have noticed that Jay Inslee, during COVID, there would be all these people on his social media. Thank you, Governor. We love you, Governor, as hard as that is to believe. But anytime Bob Ferguson puts up anything on social media, every single comment is negative. So I think you're right. It's closer to that 4-to-1 ratio against him.
Yeah, he's just not good at this stuff, are you? I think he wanted so desperately to be governor, and he sat there when he was state attorney general kind of stewing and waiting for his chance, and he got it. But he's like that dog that chases the car. You know, he caught up. Now he doesn't know what to do. And he's terrible at media. He just comes across as sarcastic and uninformed and no substance. And you can see it galls him, but he just doesn't know how to talk about policy because he's grown up politically in echo chambers. He's really bad at any kind of vaguely critical question. He just can't handle it.
Well, also, just before we let you go, there's all these rumors about who might be running in the next 4 years. We got 3 years now. We got time until, we actually have this race to deal with. There's always rumors. There's always talking points. Has this made you more intent on running? Are you still where you are, where you're like, hey, let's just see where it is? Is there somebody else you'd like to run? Or are you saying, hey, we got to deal with the income tax first, and then we'll get to governor?
There you go, the last one. We can't look past this November. We got the midterm elections. We got a couple of hot Congress races. We got those 5 judges on the state Supreme Court all up this November. And then we got at least 2 initiatives, protecting girls' sports and restoring the Parents' Bill of Rights, and maybe a couple others. The repeal of the state income tax and the voter ID might be on that November ballot too. So this November is going to be packed. Let's focus on that for now. I'd like to see common sense conservatives pick up some seats, maybe a Congress seat or 2, get a couple of those state Supreme Court positions, maybe 5, and get those initiatives passed, voting yes on the initiatives. And then we can talk. But let's not look past what's in front of us, which is this November 2026 in the midterms. We need to get the vote out. Voter turnout's been down, Ari. We need to get people to vote this November, and then we'll talk about 2028 after that.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Representative Walsh, just before we let you go, on Friday we were talking about how ways people can help out after the Longview disaster. We mentioned that the Longview Fire Department has a post up about how you can help these people. We mentioned that Como News has a link up with the GoFundMe for each victim of this tragedy. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Well, it's bringing the community in Longview together. That's the silver lining to this tragedy. The families of the fellows who were killed in that collapse, their lives are going to be changed forever now. And there are specific GoFundMes for each of the survivor families, and that's fine. But I like the Longview Fire Department has set up, working with the local labor council, a sort of general relief fund that's through the Longshoremen's Credit Union down in Longview. That's the one I like the best. I think it will go directly to helping that group as a group, and with money that they need, with taking care of like insurance and their homes and all that kind of thing. So I like any of them. They're all good, but I particularly like that relief fund that's being run by the fire department and the labor council in Longview. That's the good one.
So if you can help people, if you have a few extra dollars, you can help out and help the families of the victims of the tragedy in Longview. We'd really, really appreciate. You just heard where you can go to help out. Representative Jim Walsh, chairman of the Washington State GOP, thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Always good to talk to you, Ari. Have a great week.
Always a pleasure. Enjoy the sunshine while we have it. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. Why all the normies are suddenly supporting Spencer Pratt, but not just them, some of the Hollywood elites as well. We'll tell you what's going on heading into tomorrow's primary. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Tomorrow is the primary for Los Angeles mayor. The top two advance. Right now, the betting odds have it if it's going to come down to Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt. Well, there's technically three. You've also got Ramen Lady, who's the city council member. I think you have something like 50 people running in that race, but there's only two anybody's talking about, and that's Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt. Now, a lot of people have been attacking Spencer Pratt because he was a reality show host, and that's how he got famous. But what he did was yesterday, he said, hey, look,
he's a moron, but yep, moron.
Kevin really does not like Spencer Pratt. But then you've got this too. He says on social media, hey, did you know that Karen Bass has her own reality show? And he put up the live stream of Skid Row. So he puts up the live stream of Skid Row, which I kind of wonder why there's a live stream of Skid Row, because it's horrible. It's awful. No matter how bad Third and Pike look down there, it is infinitely worse over on Skid Row. So he puts this thing up, and just a few minutes later, somebody is covering a body with a sheet. So somebody literally died or was found dead on Karen Bass's reality show or Karen Bass's live stream. This is crazy, by the way. And this is why people have had enough of Karen Bass. You might know the name Doug Ellen. He's the creator of the show Entourage. So he says he's voting for Spencer Pratt. And in this cuss-filled rant, which Kevin was kind enough to bleep out for us, so you don't have to hear the bad words, your kids don't in the car.
I hope.
You're going to hear it.
He says like 20, so there's a chance I missed one. But
he's very mad about things.
Well, let's give it a day in court.
Exactly. You're going to hear exactly why. Give a listen.
The LA Times gaslighters. It's weird. One of 15 cameras that I now have at this house. 2 German Shepherds, 3 legal guns. 5 years ago, didn't lock a door here, but you know what happened? 2 animals invaded my house. And no, I'm not racist because they were wearing masks. I don't know if they were white. I don't know if they were Jewish. I don't know if they were f***ing rabbis. I know they were animals because they invaded my house. I know I don't care what their excuses are like a lot of you f***ing care. I know invaders of homes should get 20 years. But I'm not paranoid, so I don't believe your bullshit about the stats and the crime because everyone in my neighborhood has got the same problem. They're all putting cameras and hiring security guards because we're all getting broken into. It's not made up. It's not false. And this city has collapsed in the last 5 years. There is no denying it unless you have an agenda, and I don't know what that is. But you say, oh, Spencer Pratt has no experience, so how can we possibly think about this? What experience did Karen Bass have? Or Rick Caruso, who we know can build things, who we know can fix problems.
Exactly. So, my friends, this is why people are fed up, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Thank you, Kevin, for censoring all that, because that guy's clearly pissed off. When we come back, my friends, final hour free-for-all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, plus more contests. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free-for-all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, my friends, more chances to win fantabulous prizes. And Harmeet Dillon's going to be stopping by, talk about the latest lawsuit against Turd Ferguson. But before we get to any of that, I got a text when I was bashing New Jersey a little while ago, Kevin, because all the Antifa guys are going from Portland to New Jersey, because you had Secretary Markwayne Mullin say that Antifa is coming from Portland to get arrested at the ICE facility in New Jersey. Now, somebody said here, this one is from John in Lakewood. He says, Ari, Cape May and the Jersey Shore are okay, aren't they? Now, I will tell you something, John in Lakewood, from my vast experience. Cape May, I've never been to. So I couldn't tell you about Cape May unless my parents took me there when I was younger, and I don't remember it. The Jersey Shore, I know a little too well. Let me tell you about the Jersey Shore, my friend. The TV show Jersey Shore, you just feel like you're going to get STDs from the show. Never mind the Jersey Shore itself.
Well, I was just thinking though, like let's nominate Snooki or Pauly D for president at the rate things are going. Why not?
One of them
Why not?
One of them ran for something, didn't they?
I have no idea.
I think one of the meatballs, as they call themselves. I think one of them ran for something.
A few years ago, when we were actually smart enough not to elect somebody like that, that's amazing. Give it 10 years, and now they're rocket scientists that are going to save our country.
It'll be Snook and Sammy Sweetheart running for president and vice president. That's what it'll be.
Let's not forget about the situation.
Yes.
Was he the one, the guy that did time for tax evasion?
Tax evasion.
Yeah.
Him and then Vinny, and there was, I don't remember. That's about
Pauly D is
Pauly D.
He's smart enough to be like, all I'm going to do is be a DJ in Vegas and make
ride
tons
this
of
out.
money and just like milk this for all it's worth. And not try to do anything serious that will...
Right, but the situation, he went to jail.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the Jersey Shore, my friends. But there's this big boardwalk on the Jersey Shore, all right? How do I know this boardwalk? Because when I was a kid in high school...
Trump had a successful casino there.
Did he?
Oh, wait, no.
Does anybody have a successful casino there anymore? So, when I was a kid in high school, there was this weekend retreat you always look forward to that they had once a year. Now, it's a big deal when you're a freshman. It's a really big deal when you're a senior because then you get to run the thing, all right? My freshman year there, I remember a buddy of mine jumped down off the boardwalk and then tried to climb back up, and the thing is falling apart so bad that his hands had splinters coming, like really big suckers, because the Jersey Shore wasn't in great shape. Now, maybe it's been redone since then, but I will tell you the last time I went to the Jersey Shore. The last time was when I was a senior in high school. Maybe it's been redone, but let's just say in 1999, that area had seen better days. And the hotel accidentally booked us, our little Jewish weekend retreat with the school, with K-Rock. K-Rock's Howard Stern, you name it, the full K-Rock weekend. So now I'm one of the people in charge of this sucker at the ripe old age of 18. And all of a sudden, the faculty person comes to me and says, Ari, I know you're in charge of like setting all the rooms up, but we have half the rooms we thought we did. I'm like, but we got 600 people coming on this thing. And they go, we know. But K-Rock apparently booked it, and they have the whole weekend. It's been advertised. I'm like, I heard that on the radio. And I'm like, it can't be at our place, but it's at our place. So now you have to deal with it. That weekend was a nightmare. Aside from having to cram 600 people into 300 people-ish rooms, it didn't work at all. It was terrible. But on top of that, you like go to take the elevator, it opens up, there's needles all over the ground from all the rock users, there's beer everywhere, there's drunk people. I'll never forget, this elevator door opens and these people dressed like Kiss, I kid you not, dressed like the full band of Kiss, come out puking their guts up from the... Okay, that is my last memory of the Jersey Shore. Was it nice at some point? Sure. I'm sure it was in the 1950s or 60s. Hasn't been redone since then? No idea. No clue. But I'm not exactly excited to go back to the Jersey Shore. You want the Jersey Shore but nicer? Go to Seaside. Go to Seaside, Oregon. It's like that but nicer. And... well, actually, now in Oregon, you're going to have riffraff, so what do I know about that?
Was I confusing the two, right? Is Jersey Shore different than Atlantic City, right? I'm wrong.
You're thinking Atlantic City. There are casinos on the Jersey Shore.
There is?
Yeah, there's, yeah, I mean, you know, There is, but Atlantic City is what you're talking about. That's what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, Atlantic City, not nice either. In fact, is there one thing I want to go to New Jersey for? Hang on. Scratch it. I got some family there, so maybe that. There's a couple of good kosher restaurants. There is no reason to go to New Jersey aside to drive through it on the way to another state. That is it. As a kid, we would drive to Six Flags, Great Adventure, which is the one in New Jersey. And I remember taking a bunch of friends in my 86 Camaro in 1999, and the air conditioner had broke in it.
I was going to say a bunch of friends, 3 other friends.
I didn't really follow those rules
unless
so well.
You had some poor sap sitting on the
yes,
hump in the
sitting
middle
on the,
with no
the
seatbelt.
transmission shaft in the back. Yes, I did that frequently. One time, I'll tell you about the time I got 7 people in a Camaro with luggage. That was impressive. Anywho, getting back to this. You're driving down the Jersey Turnpike in the middle of the summer, and you have a choice. Boil to death in the car with no air conditioning, or open your windows and have to smell New Jersey. We chose boil to death. That's how bad New Jersey smells. There is nothing good in New Jersey. Maybe for Seahawks fans, MetLife Stadium where the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl, maybe that. Aside from that, there is nothing good about New Jersey. Rant over. It's how Seattle people feel about a certain other city, but I kind of like that other city, but I know Seattle people don't like that. I kind of like Tacoma. I don't know why the people don't like Tacoma. I like Tacoma.
I like
just
Tacoma.
fine.
It
I
just
like
gets
Tacoma.
made fun of a lot because it had that smell going through there. For
They
the
do have the
longest time.
smell, but
The
I like
aroma
Tacoma.
of Tacoma. I like Tacoma.
I like the waterfront of Tacoma. I like the feel of the downtown Tacoma. I like the Tacoma. Anywho, hope that answers your question about the Jersey Shore there. This one here from the 360. Ari, did you just say Karen Bass is going to win? No, that is not what I said. I said there is a top 2 primary in the Los Angeles mayoral contest. So I assume it's going to be Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. You never know, though. You never know.
Yeah, and would you be surprised if they elected her again? Would that be very surprise? I mean, would that surprise anybody?
Here's the thing: if it's Spencer Pratt and Ramadan, if it's him and ramen noodle soup, whatever her name is, if it's him and her, I actually bet you the crazies in Los Angeles would elect ramen noodle soup. I believe they actually would do that. If it's Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass, you gotta wonder how many people are really gonna vote for Karen Bass because a lot of the money, their houses got burnt down.
No, I get it. I'm just saying it wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me at all at this point.
Nothing would surprise me in this race. And then there's something else. Do AI ads translate to votes? Or is it just people like me going, hey, that Star Wars ad was pretty awesome. Like that one a lot. That's something else to think about as well. This one here, Robin Lakewood says, New Yorkers love the lower taxes of New Jersey. Rob, they ain't that much lower. I moved here because I had the choice of moving to New Jersey, which no New Yorker wants to do, or moving to Seattle, Washington. And we chose Seattle, Washington. But then again, Seattle doesn't cost now what it didn't cost then, what it costs now. So I'd be interested in actually looking at that kind of stuff. This one here, should I be flying my flag at half-mast? Won't do it if Turd orders it. I'll wait until Governor Ari says to. That's very nice, 253. I appreciate that. Okay. For the Longview things, that's apolitical. For the victims of Longview, flag at half-mast, I'm all for that. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And if Bob Ferguson says fly it at half-mast for something like that, you don't want to be like the Democrats who say they're not going to do it for Charlie Kirk. Right? I don't mean to pick on you, 253. That's not what I'm saying. But you don't want to be like the Democrats who do that. And remember what Jim Walsh just told us. Jim Walsh told us you can go online to the Lakewood Fire Department, to their social media pages, to their website. They have a place you can donate. And also, Como News had a whole list of everywhere you can donate. So I'll say, in this case, 253, I don't disagree with Bob Ferguson asking for the flags to be lowered for something like that. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Dave, who's out in Pierce County. Dave, what do you think's worse, New Jersey or Tacoma?
New Jersey, from my memory. I was in the Navy and captain of a ship out there, Sandy Hook, Earl, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And you were talking about, and there were some real irritations out there. Not the least of which, we had people that were coming up, military people. We were sort of assigned to an Army base, and the Army, local housing around the Army supporting us, but. The people in the area So this is the Jersey Shores area that are all, people that are coming from the big city and have their country house.
Yes.
They did not want their kids to associate with military-dependent children. So they did not allow any of the military-dependent children to go to any of the local public schools.
Oh, that's
they're actually allowed to do.
That is messed up. Full-on discrimination. When was this? Like in the 70s during Vietnam?
Oh, no. This was 1995, 1996.
This was during then? This is what's going on?
Yeah. They had the kids had to be bused for an hour to get into Pennsylvania to go to a Pennsylvania school because they did not want to associate with the dependent children of the military because they were dirty.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. But, I mean, here's the thing, right? Blue laws, too. You can't buy alcohol on Sundays there, right? That's a problem in New Jersey also.
Correct. all those other restrictions.
And also, Jersey, up until what, like a year or two ago, you still couldn't pump your own gas? I think now it's just Oregon, right? Jersey finally got rid of that, or is it the other way around where Oregon got rid of it and now it's just Jersey?
I think it's just Jersey. Oregon got rid of it.
Oregon did get rid of it, so now it's just Jersey. Dave, God bless you. God bless your service. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing the stories with us. I'm sure we could do this for a very, very long time about Jersey horror stories, but yours actually sound worse. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the KVI studio line, take a call from Margie in Auburn, who says she grew up in Jersey. Margie, what's going on?
Ari, it's Marty.
Oh, Marty.
Not
Sorry. My bad, Marty. My bad. What's going on, man?
Oh, hey, I grew up in Jersey and stuff like that. My grandma taught home economics in a place called Asbury Park.
Asbury Park! Asbury Park! That's where the rock concert was. That's the hotel we went to. That's where we were. Asbury Park, New Jersey.
My grandmother taught home ec, and a well-known singer from Jersey wound up being in her home ec class, and she had to keep bouncing him out all the time because he only took the class to be able to hit on all the chicks.
Wait. Is it the boss? Is that who we're talking about, or are we talking about somebody else like Bon Jovi? Who are we talking about here?
No, you're talking about the boss.
Okay. All right. I got to say something. I got to say something kind of controversial, but maybe it's not controversial with the conservative audience. Is he the most overrated singer of all time? I think I like two of his songs, maybe.
Yeah, I think Born in the USA was probably a good one, but yeah, she said that he was a punk, and I said, you realize he's famous now? She says he's still a punk. I don't care.
Did you see what happened last week? I think we didn't have time for the story last week. He's performing at a concert, and he decides to do an anti-Trump speech, and he's reading it off a teleprompter. Did you see that nonsense?
That was absolutely insane. I think that his fame and all that stuff has kind of gone to his head. I don't think he's done anything really meaningful in a long time.
No, not really. I mean, and then also, don't forget, Born in the USA may be a good song, but then when you listen to the lyrics and you're like, wait a minute. Like, that may have a good rhythm and stuff, but I don't really like the messaging of that song, right?
No, I think in the long run, a lot of people kind of shut him down. So
yeah,
as much as he likes to think he's a great guy and so forth, I think there's a lot of people who think that his fame is fleeting and diminished.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And when they start making biopics about you, then you got a problem, right? Appreciate the call, Marty. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. As much as I want to beat up on New Jersey, I know there are still people moving to New Jersey, especially when they're fleeing New York and stuff. But around here, we know there's a lot of people fleeing Seattle. Here's one that broke my heart the other day, absolutely broke my heart. So here, we don't have that many kosher restaurants, right? We don't. But we do have a kosher food delivery service. They have said that because of the conditions here in Seattle, they're not going to be doing the kosher grocery delivery service anymore. I kid you not. It's affecting everybody. It's affecting the big companies. It's affecting the small companies because there ain't that many Jews here in Seattle to begin with. But according to the company, economic realities have made the business increasingly difficult to sustain. So what they talk about? Rising taxes, rising costs, vandalism, shrinking customer base. Oh, gee, this sounds really familiar. Doesn't matter what kind of business you operate, everybody's having the exact same problems. They said the shift, combined with rising costs for housing, a 40% increase in grocery prices over the last decade, has created significant challenges. Plus, kosher-specific items like beef, poultry, and cheese have seen even steeper increases. Additionally, a difficult business environment marked by rising wages, insurance, taxes, and recurring vandalism has impacted our operations. These economic pressures have forced us to pass price increases on to our customers, which has negatively affected our home delivery service. Sounds exactly like what's going on with every single business locally. Every single one. In fact, there's this report, newly analyzed IRS migration data by the Puget Sound Business Journal shows 68,000 tax filers left King County in 2023, taking approximately $2.19 billion in adjusted gross income with them. Now, what's worse is some people are moving in, but they're not high earners. So you're losing your high earners. You're getting lower earners, which means your tax base is going down, getting less. According to the data, nearly one-third of departing King County tax filers relocated to neighboring Pierce and Snohomish counties, where housing costs are significantly lower. While local officials often focus on overall population totals, economists note that the migration data tells a different story. Not all residents contribute equally to the tax base. Oh, you mean that when all of a sudden you chase out the rich people, you're going to start having problems because you don't have their money anymore? So you think maybe Katie Wilson saying this may have been a problem?
Like, bye.
Yeah. Maybe wasn't a good idea to say that to those wealthy people because they're paying for your stupid programs with their taxes. The latest figures suggest King County may be exchanging higher income taxpayers for lower income newcomers, a shift that could have significant implications for local government. Oh, this is going to be great. Okay, so maybe last week when we were making fun of the trans refugee crisis, we were wrong to do so. See, the trans people are coming here by the tens of thousands, according to them. Yeah, that's not actually happening. But they're coming here, but unfortunately, they're not actually contributing to the tax base. So you're losing the high earners and you're getting the blue-haired trans people, and now all of a sudden you don't have your tax base anymore. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder at all why Blackstone is selling a Seattle skyscraper at a 54% loss? That's right. The U.S. Bank Tower is being sold for approximately $280 million when this thing sold for more than $500 million years ago. Well, now, when you have a 33% vacancy rate downtown, people aren't moving in. And that rate is only going up. It's not getting better. So now the building that used to have 100% off its occupancy rate, now people are moving out and moving out and moving out. So you're going to have a harder time selling that building because it's not worth as much because half that sucker is empty. And downtown, a lot of those buildings are emptier than they've ever been before. So now you have the massive amount of people leaving, the massive amount of companies leaving, the massive amount of businesses leaving, and then you've got you've got Blackstone selling this thing for a loss, hundreds of millions of dollars in loss because they're thinking if prices keep going down, if vacancy rates keep going up, we may be left with a building that's worth next to nothing. Then we're just turning it over to the bank, and then that's just a net loss. So they're probably thinking, cut their losses and get out of Seattle now. How much worse can this get? We don't know where the floor actually is. That's the scary part. Speaking of how bad things can get, up next, my friends, a whole bunch of the changes and additions and upgrades made for Seattle's World Cup have already been vandalized. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder that today we are giving away two tickets to see Colin Cloud Mastermind at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. For over 20 years, Colin Cloud has been entertaining and astounding audiences on the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pet's names, even your PIN code. Described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes, he's enjoyed sold-out runs on London's West End Broadway and the Las Vegas Strip, where he is now headlining his own show in Harrah's Hotel and Casino. You can get tickets for this event at snowtickets.com, SNO tickets.com. But if you want to win 2 tickets to the show, all you have to do is text the keyword I give you to the number I give you. Today's word is magic, as in, do you believe in magic? As in magic trick, as in magic show. Text the word magic, M-A-G-I-C, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from the 360. What's the end game for Turd Ferguson? Is he just trying to bring Washington into a state of disarray and lawlessness so he can be king? Well, actually, here's the thing. I wonder if he's just doing it so his buddies can buy up all the real estate. Really, is this the RoboCop plot we're dealing with right now? So Seattle Submission, which is a social media account, Seattle Submissions, had a post today talking about, those new bathrooms, those portable bathrooms that Seattle spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on installing for the World Cup? What was it? Last week they opened them where you had Katie Wilson standing out there with a toilet paper roll with a whole bunch of city council members and people from King County. Remember that? Yeah, they've already been vandalized. The pictures they took already show broken windows on these things. Now, I'm kind of curious why they had windows in the first place, but apparently somebody already broke the windows. So I was talking to a friend of mine in media who shall remain nameless, but let's just say they're in the mainstream media, but we still like them. And they said, oh, you think that's bad? The plexiglass sculptures that they just installed at Westlake may have been vandalized. I said, what do you mean may have been vandalized? They said, well, they're covered over with this cloth. So we think they were vandalized. We're trying to find out if they were vandalized, they're being redone. What's the story? This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things. You install new things for the World Cup. You know what I got to remember to check on my way home today? I got to remember to check the Iranian flag, the IRGC flag that's painted on the monorail columns. I haven't been down there in a few days because we had the weekend and all. So I should definitely go check that out and see if it's been vandalized again. Now, you should never vandalize anything, people. Don't do it. It's bad. But people have been painting over the terrorist logo with the old logo before 1979 revolution. That's been going on down there. So I kind of wonder if that's been vandalized also. I have lots of questions about all this. Did anybody not see this coming? I think everybody saw this kind of stuff coming in Seattle, right? It's not like the crime has been getting better around here. They've just been pushing the homeless people around more and more. For example, Kevin, I don't know if you noticed this, by the way. You notice there's some tents under our building now? I know they're in the bushes. I know they're like towards the Space Needle. I know where they normally are. Now they're under our building. I came a weird way today and
when
came
you say
the backside.
under, what do you mean?
Like, you know where the parking lot, right over there, that parking lot.
Sure, yeah.
There's that drop-off wall down near the beer hall. There's 2 or 3 tents down there now.
Oh, they came back.
Oh, so they've been there before?
That was kind of a little mini sort of encampment for a little bit there, and then went away.
I see. I don't normally go that way. The I-5 was all backed up today, so I had to come the other way down Mercer and go down there. Didn't normally notice that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle's thriving, isn't it?
Well, there's this one, when you make the walk up to the Seattle Center, I don't know, I forget what street this is.
Yeah.
There's like one strip of grass that's like, I don't know, like maybe half a block.
Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about.
And there used to be like one straggler hanging on there who'd set up a tent
in the
there.
green tent.
Yeah, and now that's just tent row again.
Yep,
it's
all
like
along
7
the
or 8 of them now there.
Right, a block away from the Space Needle. Right there, ready to go. Yep. Fantastic. That's the one I saw on the way to Folklife. Yes, I went to Folklife. Did I mean to go to Folklife? No. Happened to pass through it on the way somewhere else. But yes, I went to Folklife. Kafias all as far as the eye could see. It was lovely, let me tell you. But yes, Seattle ready for the World Cup. You know, we had Kent Liu on the show. He's the new president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild. We had him on the show last week, and we asked him, is Seattle ready for the World Cup? And he's concerned like I'm concerned. He's concerned that, okay, the area around the stadiums and the hotels might be safe because the feds are coming in to help. But what happens with the rest of the city? Everywhere I go, I'm seeing more tents than I ever see because they're being pushed out of the downtown corridor and they're being pushed to other places. So if you ask me, is Seattle ready for the World Cup? My answer would be a big how about no, because they're just pushing the stuff aside. And what's going to happen is, guaranteed, Rolling Stone or somebody will be here, right? Or the Daily Beast. Some reporter will be like, I don't see this hellscape they're talking about. I didn't see anything at all. So, like I said, days of World Cup matches, I am for sure driving the city and be like, this I saw today. In fact, I have some footage on my phone here that when we go to the movies tonight, probably put that up on social media so everybody can see it because we're ready for the World Cup, my friends. Right? Right? Wrong. Up next, my friends, Harmeet Dillon is going to be stopping by from the Department of Justice. Tell us about the latest lawsuit against Bob Ferguson. We'll have that for you, plus a whole lot more. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. My friends, a couple weeks ago, the Justice Department notified Washington Governor Bob Ferguson of the intention of a federal investigation into Washington's practice of housing men in women's prisons. This is something we've been tracking here for a very, very long time on the show. We've documented many, many cases of what's going on, I have to say, allegedly inside Washington state prisons. But now the Justice Department is looking into this, and it's pretty clear where they're coming from. Joining us now to discuss on the KVI studio line, Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me today, Ari.
Such a pleasure. I wish it was under better circumstances. So why don't we start with this issue here? I mean, this is something that's been going on for years and years and years. Is this something that's unique to Washington, or are we seeing this other places in the U.S. right now?
We're seeing it all over the United States. I will say that at the federal level, we're putting a stop to this, but we're seeing it in state prisons around the country. So currently, the Department of Justice has specific investigations opened into not only Washington, but also 2 other states regarding this matter. And then there's also an overall investigation into Colorado's prison system where, they're doing this among other things. So California and Maine are the other 2 states. So, and as we find out instances of other violations like this, we're opening up new investigations because it's our view that under a federal statute called the Civil Rights of Institutionalized Persons Act, or CRIPA, that it's a systematic violation of women's civil rights to be free while incarcerated from sexual and physical violence, harassment, voyeurism, and intimidation, to be housed with male prisoners, open and shut. So that's our position, and we're aggressively pursuing that.
An interesting take on this, but it should be an obvious one, is the Eighth Amendment implications. I mean, a lot of people on the left love to say that the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment, but they have no problem whatsoever of putting somebody, like in the cases of Washington, who's a fully intact male, that's the language that's being used in some of these lawsuits, in a room with a woman, and this person is there for murder or child abuse or, you name it, rape, and that they're putting these people inside these prisons with women. It really is cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And, again, we have this federal statute that 42 U.S.C. Section 1997 that also gives us jurisdiction over this. And ultimately, prisons are for punishment of specific crimes, and nobody should be raped or subjected to sexual or physical violence in a prison as a condition of their punishment. That's not part of the deal, and it's frankly uncivilized that it occurs in prisons throughout the United States.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? I mean, right now the Department of Justice is doing what the Department of Justice does. What are the next steps in this matter?
Well, the state has to comply with our requests. In this case, we're starting with the Gig Harbor, Washington Correctional Facility for women. If we find that there are other institutions where this is happening in Washington, we'll expand our investigation. We're going to get some documentation of what their policies and practices are. We will, if our news reports are substantiated, we will enter into settlement discussions with the state to put an end to these barbaric practices. And if they don't agree, then we'll have to pursue litigation options.
We're talking with Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon. Have you heard anything from Governor Ferguson's office, Attorney General Nick Brown's office, or anybody else in Washington since all this made the news?
I mean, I personally haven't. I don't think they've made any public statements about it. I don't think it's really disputed that they're doing this. Some states have taken the position, and the prior administration almost certainly took the position that they're required to house the men in the women's prisons, but that's a little different than putting them in the same cell with a woman. I think there are ways to accomplish that carceral goal to keep the prisoners safe, which is their duty as well, including the so-called trans prisoners. But you also have to look at the fact that throughout the United States, certain reports have shown that quite a few of these male to female alleged transition prisoners only start identifying as trans after they're convicted of a crime. Seems opportunistic. So I think they have a duty to see whether these claims are legitimate or not. But regardless of the legitimacy or sincerity of the trans claim, that does not subordinate the rights of women prisoners to be safe from violence and cruel behavior in the prison. So that's our focus in these investigations.
I couldn't agree more. In the last few minutes we have with Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon, I'm also kind of worried about the Department of Corrections staff. In one of these cases, for one of the private lawsuits that went forward, they alleged that the person couldn't actually be taken away, the trans individual couldn't be taken away because the guard wasn't able to do it because the person was so much more overpowering. Is that a focus of the investigation as well?
Well, I'm not going to comment on any specifics like that, but obviously, I mean, prison staff have to be up to the task of controlling the prisoners, and if they aren't, that poses risks of safety to other employees as well as all prisoners. So, you know, if that's happening, that might be an independent grounds for concern. But look, our prison investigations, like, for example, in Colorado, they're broad ranging. I mean, sometimes prison wardens are accused of forcing prisoners to stand outside in the cold for medication or refusing to accommodate elderly prisoners appropriately. And so there's a whole range of cruel behavior that allegedly goes on in prisons, and it's all unacceptable. This is just one subset of that.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. That's Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Thank you so much for being with us today and giving up your time. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Ari. Take care.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVM. Before we get to our good news headlines, first I want to give you your last chance for today to win a pair of tickets to Colin Cloud Mastermind at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. That's right, today we are giving away 2 tickets to see Colin Cloud, who's been entertaining and astounding audiences in the biggest TV shows and stages around the world. He'll know what you had for lunch, where you've been today, what you do for a living, your pet's names, even your PIN code. Described by the media as the real-life Sherlock Holmes, he enjoyed sold-out runs on London's West End, Broadway, and the Las Vegas Strip, where he now has his own show at Harrah's Hotel and Casino. You can get the tickets for his show at snowtickets.com. That's SNOtickets.com. But if you want to get them for free and win them right now, text the word MAGIC, as in, do you believe in magic? And I'm sure you do. Text the word MAGIC, M-A-G-I-C, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Now, outside our window today, I see 2 cargo ships. That is the 3rd cruise ship I've seen leave today. I see 1 Washington State ferry, and the Zucker boat is outside our window right now. It is magnificent. Magnificent.
We got confirmation that it is the Zucker boat?
It is the Zucker boat.
Okay.
I have the binoculars. I could see the name of the, whatever it's called. I don't remember. I looked it up earlier. It is the Zucker boat. I saw some boats coming and going from it earlier. I don't know if they were sightseeing or if they're the other boats that come along from Zucker boat. But yes, that is the Zucker boat. Must be nice. It's gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. Must be nice. Anywho, moving along from the Zucker boat, which is right outside our business right now. Well, I mean, not right outside. There's a lot of water and buildings and stuff in between, but we can see the Zucker boat from where we are. Is he in town for meetings? Possibly buying the Seahawks, do you think? Do you think that's why he's here? I don't know. Maybe he's here for the World Cup, or maybe he's taking meetings on buying the Seahawks. They said they might close that deal pretty soon.
Or maybe it's just his boat.
And he came here, of all places to go.
I mean, you know, what? Maybe it's getting serviced. Maybe you let a friend borrow it.
No.
Maybe you let a friend borrow it.
You don't let a friend borrow something. I don't like letting people borrow my boat, and it is not a boat like that.
What I'm saying is, like, the friend gets to borrow the crew and everything.
Oh, yeah. That's
not
a really good friend.
It's not like the friend's driving it or something.
And letting his parents have it or something?
But wouldn't we have heard if he's here? Like,
maybe not have heard that he's here.
Come on.
I mean, it's not parked. It was parked the last few days, and now it's out there. Who knows what the Zucker boat is doing? I don't know what he's doing out there. You see any helicopters coming and going? I haven't seen no helicopters. No. Okay. We don't know if he's there. We don't know if he's not there. Haven't seen anybody water skiing. I'll just put it that way. But speaking of if Mark Zuckerberg is buying the Seahawks, we do have the updates on another Seahawk, my friends. So Russell Wilson is going to be an official analyst for CBS Sports in the upcoming season. According to Adam Schefter, Wilson will join CBS Sports as an analyst in its pregame show. The former quarterback will join James Brown, Nate Burleson, and Bill Cowher on the NFL Today after Matt Ryan left the show to become team president of the Falcons. Wilson played for the Giants last season. He did? Did he actually play for the Giants last season, or he's just on the Giants last season?
I don't remember. I think maybe he played a bit.
Okay.
I don't remember. I kind of blocked him out after he's gone on his little tour of his long retirement tour. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, he hasn't announced he's retiring yet. He might come back.
I know, but
he might come back. Well, don't you want the clock ticking on that Hall of Fame business? I mean, I assume he'll get in with a pretty high percentage of the vote, right? Wilson played for the Giants last season, starting the first 3 games of the season before being benched.
There you go.
Rookie Jackson Dart. Wilson was pushed down to 3rd string behind Winston several weeks later. He visited with the Jets earlier in the when you're visiting with the Jets. I think it's time to call it a career. How the mighty have fallen.
We say that as we sit here barely able to run a mile.
Excuse me. I think I could walk a mile. I think I could do that. Yeah, okay, fair enough. He's told The Post at the BTIG charity they offered me, and I'm trying to figure out what the next best thing is for me. I still know I can play ball at a high level, but I also have an opportunity to do TV analysis, so we'll see what happens. Wilson, 37, would have served as Geno Smith's backup if he decided to sign with the Jets. How's that for irony, right? He was drafted out of Wisconsin, 3rd round of the 2012 NFL draft by the Seahawks. He led Seattle to 8 playoff appearances and the franchise's first Super Bowl win in 2014. He also played for the Steelers and the Broncos and the Giants and a whole bunch of other people he played for. Anyway, he has not officially announced the move to TV, nor has he confirmed he's retired from playing. Maybe this is just one of those keep them interested kind of things, or look how much buzz you generate, so maybe I need a few more bucks. Who knows?
I always wonder what would have happened if we would have just handed the ball to Marshawn,
Yes.
won that game.
Yes.
And he wasn't so much into being a big celebrity and, growing his brand.
I think that's part of it, too.
If those two things had happened, I wonder what the Seahawks would have looked like now.
Would have been interesting. Would not be the team you're looking at right now.
Because you would have had 2 Super Bowls back to back, right?
You would have been more interested in keeping the team together, thinking they could three-peat or something.
Yeah.
It would have been more emotional to get rid of guys.
Yeah.
Going, look, they just won us a championship again. Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, that version of the Seahawks was so close to being, a dominant kind of almost dynasty, but just a couple of choices kept it from happening.
Missed it by that much. I think at this point, everybody's kind of forgiven the Seahawks, including like Mike, for example.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Russell Wilson, not the Seahawks.
Yeah. And I don't have anything against the guy either.
No.
I don't know how great of an analyst he'll be.
You never know.
You never know, though. That's the other thing. Yeah, right?
A-Rod, better analyst than player, but I still don't think he should be doing the analysis because, look, I mean, I didn't think Pete Rose should have been. Either you're banned or you're not. Not to put Russell Wilson in that category. He doesn't deserve to be in that category. But I've seen guys who are pretty good. Like, for example, the 1986 Mets. You've got Howard Johnson. You've got Ron Darling and you've got Keith Hernandez over there with the Mets. They do a great job. One of the best teams in baseball, one of the best sportscasts in baseball. So, actually, I'm kind of excited about this. I got no problem with this whatsoever. I'm interested to see what happens. If he's interested in growing his brand, I mean, who knows? He could be like the Charles Barkley, the Magic Johnson doing that kind of stuff.
We'll see. I'm just saying he wasn't very electric on the mic.
No.
When he was a player, no matter what iteration or which team he played for, he just was not very
I think the
exciting.
wife took that job. More, Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's not the only Seattle sports news, by the way, my friends. Apparently,
Seawolves talk. Yes, here we go.
Yes.
No?
Yes, that's what we're doing. Melinda French Gates, which just stop using the French. It sounds ridiculous. Melinda Gates is going to become a minority investor.
Or maybe stop using the Gates.
Stop using the Gates and just stick with Melinda French. But everybody goes, who's Melinda French?
Right, there you go.
Yeah, Melinda Gates is now going to become a minority investor of the Kraken. Okay, interesting. Now, why do you need to take on a new investor for the team? Oh, wait a minute. Is this because you need some money for another team you might be bringing back? Where's Chris Daniels when you need him? Does this mean the Sonics are coming back? Does this mean they're coming back? She's investing in One Roof, the new brand, which they packaged everything under. That's what this is all about. So now under Kraken ownership. So now she can join Macklemore. Great. Woo! Fantastic. Okay, is this one more sign that they need the capital to create the Sonics? That's what it looks like today to me. That's going to do it for us today, my friends, but fear not. We will be back tomorrow with more insane stories and more exciting guests, plus, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.